Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, in this episode we take a photo of a cherry tree in the sunset. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs and welcome to my photography, Lightroom and Photoshop tips. My name is Serge Ramelli. I'm a French photographer living in Paris, France. In last episode, it was episode 100. It was a pretty special episode where I showed you my 10 best tips on shooting landscapes and more urban landscape, but also general landscapes. Check it out. It was pretty popular. This week, I'm going to show you a photo that I took into a park very next to my house as I was walking down, walking with my dog, and there was this beautiful cherry tree. It's starting to be spring here in Paris. We have some days where it's kind of hot, and white flowers of the cherry tree really inspired me. I want to show you a bit some little tips and tricks on compositing and how I shot this photo and how I post-processed it. So here it is. Alright, a couple of things before we start the tutorial. I just want to show you that I have some limited offers now on my website, which you can get here by clicking on Don't Miss My Limited Time Offers. Click here, and when you click here, you got some of my tutorials with limited time where you have promotion. People seem to love promotion, so I keep on doing them. Alright, now if you want to get the raw files of what we're going to be doing, you got to go to News, and you're going to go to Sign Up. And when you go to sign up, you can put your name and your email, and you can get all the raw files, including the ones I'm going to be using today for this tutorial. Last but not least, if you go to News and you click on Squarespace, I have a partnership with Squarespace where they sponsor the show, and you can get a discount. You can get 10% on making your website with Squarespace by clicking on this link here. Click here to get started. And this is a tutorial that shows you how you can make a website in 15 minutes. I use Squarespace to make my portfolio. It's called sergerameliphotos.com, and I'm really happy with it. And that's why I contacted them to see if they would sponsor my show, and they accepted. So it helps finance the free stuff, and you get a discount. And honestly, it's the best technology out there to make websites. You can sell, you can do blogs, you can do amazing portfolios. I'm in love with Squarespace. So if you want to support my podcast, just use the Squarespace link here, and you use the code PhotoSurge also. At one point, they will ask you for a code if you want to get a discount. You just put in PhotoSurge, or you click here to get started in any case. So that's, that really helps me out. Now let's get started with the tutorials. So today's tutorial is a story about a photo. I want to talk to you about some compositing tricks and some post-processing tricks. I was going to the park with my little dog, which you can see here, Caramel. I like to take him out. This is a garden that is not so far away from my home. And, it's spring. Spring is a bit starting in France. I mean, very little. But the first thing that happens in spring is the cherry trees. They become white. And I love that. I think it's beautiful trees. They have these very white flowers. It doesn't last very long, and you never know when it happens. But we had a bit of sun lately, so this cherry tree was really white. I was like, wow. And the sun was setting next to it. So I was trying to get a composition where I could get the cherry tree, nice cloud, and a bit of the sun to get a nice light. So that's my first shot. I was shooting with a 35mm with my Sony A7R that I always have on me. And I like this idea of shooting only with a 35mm because, I try to avoid a wide angle look, but that's just me, That's just what I'm trying to achieve in my photography journey these days, Probably next year I'll be crazy about the 10mm and super wide angle. Right now, I'm crazy about 35mm. Anyways, so that's the first photo. I kind of like it, but what I didn't like is that the sun was a bit too much on the right, and so there was not enough quality of light. Then I moved a bit around the tree. My dog got closer. That's still kind of nice. The only problem is that the sun is there, but it's really burned. I don't know. I wanted to see if I could do better. So then my idea was, okay, I'm going to take a second photo just next to it and try to make a pano. And I was shooting manual. I didn't have my tripod, so I was at 180 of a second at 6.3 ISO 100. Always trying to go at ISO 100. I actually put in 180 and 63. This is figures that I put myself in manual mode because I just look at the screen and they looked all right, Problem, this is a bit burned here, and if you want to make a two photo pano, I'm sorry, still at 180 at f63, it didn't work because this was way too burned. So anyway, I said, okay, fine, I'm going to try to get out of the sun. So I started moving on the side. You know, the sun was coming straight to it, and that's one shot. The only thing that I don't like about it is that the sun was putting all the flowers becoming very yellow. And they, you know, I mean, the flowers were white and vivid white, you know, and the sun was giving a cast of yellow color. I sort of didn't like that. Then I tried to move a bit further away so that I would have, you know, give more space to the tree. I didn't like the background. And actually from this side, look, there was no more clouds anymore. Clouds were like, you know, clouds is very important for a landscape photography. It makes drama. It makes drama. So then I moved around and I found this photo, which I kind of like because I had the clouds. I didn't like so much a busy background. There was a lot of trees behind it, but this was so far the best, you know. So you have to move around your object, you know, because on this side, the clouds were really cool. Okay, you can see my shadow here. So the sun is actually behind me, and, you know, so sunset is behind me. And then I'm going to try two panel photo of the same shot, because what I didn't like about it is you know, I love these photos where you have like nothing and just one tree type of photo. So I said I was going to try that, and so, you know, give more space to it. So I was going to make a two photo pano and maybe, you know, stitch them together. I kind of like the idea, but you know what was missing? What was missing was the sun. I wanted to have the sun. So then I kept on moving around, and then I went behind the tree right in front of the sun. But there was too much of a dynamic range. Of course, I could have done some HDR, but I know by experience that HDR with tree leaves doesn't always give good result because there's a lot of wind and movement, and, you know, I wanted a tight, sharp photo. So I tried a couple of exposure, you know, like that. Didn't work. Then I tried something which I found was the best. I started in manual mode. So I took this first photo, and the sun is here on the right. Now this is 180 for setting at 6.3. Okay, first photo. Second photo, 180 6.3, same exposure. Third photo, 180 at 6.3, but we are getting closer to the sun. So on the fourth photo, I was still at 180, but this time I was at 8.0. I closed my shutter, my exposure a little bit from 6.3 to 8.0, so that I wouldn't get so much, you know, blown out values. So 8.0, you know, when you close the aperture, you have less light coming, so you get a darker photo. And then I moved again toward the sun, and this time I was at f10. You know, so I was progressively closing my aperture, and the last photo, I still was at f10. But anyways, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to retouch all these photos and then stitch them in Photoshop using, you know, photo merge and see what happens. So let's start with the first one. We're going to open up the shadows and bring down the highlights. Now, look how, you know, how much detail there in the sky. I really love that. I'm going to do my white point, Alt, until I see some white. I want to, you know, get the trees as white as possible, and black point. Okay. Now, key point here is going to be the white balance. Let's check daylight. I like the idea of having you know, pretty blue sun, but I don't like the idea, you know, the sun was really making this leaf very yellow. So let's see if we can do something about that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a radial filter that I'm going to put here around the tree. I'm going to boost a bit the exposure, but now it's boosting the exposure everywhere. I don't want that. I want to invert the mask so that it boosts the exposure just in the tree. I want to boost the exposure very slightly, but what I want to do is bring down the saturation so that, you know, the tree, so it takes the yellow out of the leaf. And one thing you can do is make the circle a little bit bigger than the tree, and then you just feather the mask so that it's more, maybe not that much, yeah, and lower a bit the exposure, boost a bit. All right, and then, you know, on the radial circle, you can just take the Option key or the Alt key and just move the handles as you wish. If you hold on the Alt key, you know, until you've got something that you like. Okay, maybe a bit further down. All right, so, and maybe just a little bit more exposure. Okay, I like that. Now, I just want to darken a bit the sky, so I'm going to make a a neutral density filter here. I'm just going to darken a bit the sky and maybe add a little bit of magenta into the sky, because I want it, you know, it's going to get warmer as we go to the left. Okay, now it's bringing back magenta, you know, color cast here on the leaf. I don't want that. So what you can do is use a brush, and on the brush you just desaturate and, you know, just take out the saturation here. I just really didn't want any saturation in my tree. Okay, and maybe add. So what I did is on the top of the radial filter, I'm using a brush. I'm trying to get this tree as white as possible, but I still want to get colors everywhere else. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Now, I'm going to take all I did here by pressing Command Shift C or Control C on Windows, and I'm going to make sure everything is selected, and I'm going to click on Copy. Then I'm going to go to the next photo and press Command V to copy and paste all I did. Now, I need to adjust a couple of things. The radial filter is not at the right place, so I need to click on it, locate the radial filter, and really move it to the left so that it's completely on the tree. Okay. All right, now I need to get the brush. Now, where is my brush? Okay, now my brush is totally wrong, so I'm going to erase the brush, and I'm going to get back the radial filter. Actually, you should not have synced the brush, because the brush was really at the wrong place. I'm going to make my circle a little bit bigger. So this circle does two things. It boosts the exposure and brings down saturation. Okay, and it does the main job on the tree. And then at the end, I just go and take a brush, and it's got the same value than before, like less saturation. And let's add a bit of exposure, and I'm just going to brush off until I get the tree a bit more white. Okay, I want to get this yellow out of the tree. Okay, without brightening up too much the sky. So that's kind of cool. I like that. So now I'm going to press Command C, Command Shift C, and this time I'm going to take the brush out. I don't want the brush to be copied. And I'm going to do right click, Command V. Okay, I have to adjust the radial filter again. So clicking on the radial filter, here it is. I'm going to put it back on the tree. All right. Okay, now it's really getting warm here because, you know, we've got the sun there. So let's add a brush and let's take out some of this yellow on the tree. Okay, now it's getting warmer here and I like that. So I'm going to do something about that in the next photo. So I'm going to press Command C again, leave the same option except the brush, copy, and go to the next photo and Command V. Okay, this time I'm going to move the radial filter again, which is probably, you know, it needs to be moved totally here on this side. And on the sky, I'm going to take the graded filter, which is here, and I'm going to start moving it the other way around because the sun is coming from there. Okay, and I'm going to warm it up. I'm going to add some yellows and some magenta because that's how it was. You know, so I'm going to help it with a white balance to come to its true nature. I want to make a contrast between the left of the photo, which is cool, and the right of the photo, which is warm. Okay, so I like that. So now I'm going to take this, what I did here, Command Shift C, okay, copy, and paste it on the last photo. Now this time I don't need the radial filter, so I can just take it out. I actually should not have synced it. Okay, and now I'm going to take the radial filter, and I'm just going to make it a bit like this, and I'm going to make it a bit stronger, add a bit more saturation. You know, I want this to be a sort of a crazy sunset. It was really very warm. It was really nice. Okay, and the rest maybe, you know, bring down a bit the exposure. On this one, maybe I'm going to bring down also a little bit the exposure. Okay, so now I've got every photo retouched for its fitting, and so you can see here at the bottom. So now I'm going to right click, edit, and merge to panorama in Photoshop. Now I'm going to put on pause until it's open in Photoshop. So there we have all the files open in Photo Merge. Click on OK. I'm going to put on pause until it's done. All right, so now this is a merge in Photo Merge. Now check this out. If I go to image size, this image is 13,000 pixels long, which is If I wanted to make a huge print, I could, but that's not the case. So I'm going to get it a bit lower. I'm going to go to image size and put it about 5,000 pixels large. Because, you know, when you have a photo which is 13 pixels large, you better have a very, very fast computer. Now we have a few things to deal with on this photo, and I'll show you a quick way to deal with things. So this is the layers. This is how they look like. First thing is I'm going to press Command E to merge all the layer into one photo. Command G to put this one on its own layer. Let's see here. What I want to do is I'm going to press Command T. Command T is going to bring the transform tool. And a little trick, if you press the Command key or the Control key on your keyboard, you can move each corner individually. So I'm going to do that just to sort of get the perspective trouble out. You know, I was not using a nodal special pano, a tripod, so that's why I have this curve here, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to take the crop tool and maybe crop here. I could crop there and crop here. I could do that, you know, if I wanted to keep that sky. Show you a little trick. Now it's still a very big photo, you know. If I go at 100%, you know, it's still very big. So to get this back, well, the best way to do that, I'll show you a trick which is a bit complex, but actually the best tool is the magic wand tool. Make just sure that contiguous is on, meaning it's only going to select the transparency which is there in case there would be transparency somewhere else. Once you've done your selection, you go to select, modify, expand. You want to expand that selection, let's say about 20 pixels. And then you can go to edit, fill, and you're going to use content aware and click on OK. Now there is a good chance that it's not going to work because what happened is that it did well here, but here look at what it did. It copied some of that tree. So that's not good. So Command Z to undo, and that's the trick I wanted to show you. This is the trick. So we have here our, you know, transparency. I'm going to create a mask. I'm going to take a brush, make a big brush, black, 100%. So I've got a white mask, and I'm going to mask. Oh, I'm going to turn this one off, and I'm going to mask out the tree. I'm going to right click and make the harness. I want a very hard brush, and I'm going to basically erase anything but the sky, but I'm erasing it temporarily, okay? Because what I want is that I want to force the algorithm to only take into account this part of the sky. So check it. So this is a mask. I can just erase the mask. I didn't do anything to the original picture. So now I go back on this photo. I go back on my magic wand tool. I reselect this. This is where it's important to make sure that contiguous is on. I go to filter, select, modify, expand. Let's expand 20 pixel. And now I'm going to do it again. Edit, fill, content aware. And check this out. Normally, it works. Now, you have to understand, Command D. It did a pretty good job, you know. The reason is that I forced the algorithm to only take that into account, and now I can just take that mask and throw it away. And now, check it out. Before, after. It's not so bad. Sometimes, you can have weird stuff here, but that's, you just take the clone stem tool, you know, make it big and maybe copy some of that stuff here. But that's the good thing about clouds. They're very random, so it's kind of fine. So that's all I'm doing here in Photoshop. I'm going to save this and go back into Lightroom. Okay, so I'm back into Lightroom for a final double processing. I find that, for example, that this side here is a bit too blue compared to here. So I can just go into the develop module and add, you know, an ND filter and just warm things up here a little bit. So I just took that out and maybe just add a bit of warmth, yeah. Just so that it's, you know, it doesn't go so much from blue to, check it out. It's very subtle, but it just added a bit of magenta here on the left. But it was really how it was, you know, it was only warm on one side. And I like that. I wanted to give that feeling, you know. Okay, then maybe let's close the photo with, you know, adding here a little filter. and making this a bit darker. All right, maybe a bit warmer here. So I'm adding, this is a bit darker and a bit warmer. Let's not take out the saturation. That's just gonna close the photo, and maybe I'm gonna do an overall, here again. I'm gonna do another ND filter. Click on reset and just lower the exposure, and maybe make it a bit larger and bring it back, so that we have we are closing this photo. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I could do some, dodge and burning, take the brush maybe, and yeah, that's, again, maybe take out some of the colors again in the tree. We want that tree to be white. That was the main difficulty actually, was to get that tree white. Maybe boost a bit the exposure, a little bit of the tree, with a little brush. Maybe here a little bit, make it more. Anyways, but that's about the idea of that photo, and I like the idea of that, because it was really like that. On the right side it was warm, on the left side it was cold, and so that's how I did it. And cherry tree, it's spring, it's a beautiful tree. Voila, hope you like this little trick and tips and tricks on Lightroom and Photoshop. All right, guys, I hope you like this episode. I hope you do check our promotions on the website, and also our special sponsor, Squarespace, where you can get 10% on the offer. It's really what I think is the best out there, and that's why I picked them. I have had a lot of proposal of sponsorship, but this is who I choose because I love their products and I'm using it. So check it out, Squarespace, if you want to make an awesome website for your photography. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Au revoir.